Because I have to know the songs kind of, and I don't. I've never played some of these songs, and I got to make it all just right. And then, we have the video made, so it's just an entire process. But I have to here to do my job. He once set a world record for drumming speed. He once held a professorship at Berkeley. He's the only drummer who could play Dream Theater's complex compositions perfectly on his very first audition and sustain that level for over a decade. Mike Mangini isn't just a drummer. He's a rhythm machine programmed by human intellect. And yet, behind the stage lights and technical accolades lies a lesser-known truth. Mangini was once so terrified of performing that he hid in a tree as a child. He once wrote software for missile systems, then gave it up to chase a pair of drumsticks. He was once hailed as the irreplaceable drummer, only to be quietly replaced without warning. In a rock world defined by noise, Mike Mangini chose silence. No scandals, no drama, no public outcry, even when deeply hurt. And it's precisely that silence that made him one of the most respected figures in the drumming world. Not because of fame, but because of the depth of his knowledge and the integrity of a true artist. At 60, he's starting over with a solo album, stepping outside the Dream Theater whirlwind and still playing drums not for recognition, but because he never stopped. Why would someone who mastered technical glory never chase stardom? And what makes Mike Mangini so extraordinary that even in silence, he became an icon? Mike Mangini was born on April 18th, 1963 in Newton, Massachusetts, and raised in the suburban town of Waltham, where the first drum beats of his life echoed from the basement of his family home. At just 2.5 years old, Mangini was already tapping drumsticks on pillows, then onto kitchen pans, and eventually anything that could make a sound. No one taught him. He simply mimicked Ringo Starr on TV, and somehow every rhythm he played was right. His parents weren't artists. The family valued academics, discipline, and stability. But Mangini was different. The small, quiet boy barely spoke, instead immersing himself for hours in a world of rhythm, both curious and obsessed. What others called noise was for him the only way to connect with the world. Yet his childhood also carried a persistent fear, stage fright. During one gathering where he was asked to perform drums for his parents' friends, Mangini ran away from a house, climbed a tree, and refused to come down. He wouldn't play, not because he lacked skill, but because he was terrified of being watched. For years afterward, this social anxiety haunted him like a shadow, making every stage appearance a true internal battle. Mangini excelled at math and science. His father, a practical man, advised him to pursue computer science for a stable future, and Mangini followed that path. He enrolled at Bentley University, graduated with honors, and was hired to work on software for the Patriot missile defense system, a dream beginning for someone who hadn't been dreaming of drums since age 2. But behind the lines of code and control systems, his mind was still drumming. The rhythms were still there, not loud, not urgent, but never gone. Mike Mangini's childhood was marked by a quiet kind of struggle between societal expectations and the call of music, between the logic of software and the heartbeat of rhythm. And in the end, he chose a path less predictable, quieter, more difficult, but more honest. When Mike Mangini left his job as a software engineer to return to drumming, it wasn't an impulsive decision. It was the act of someone who had tried to live a normal life and knew with certainty that he couldn't. For him, music was no longer a distant dream. It was an undeniable calling. And so, he started over from scratch, at an age when most people were settling into office jobs, pensions, and insurance plans. Mangini entered the professional music world through the most direct and high-pressure path, playing with bands that demanded extreme technical skill. He joined Annihilator, one of Canada's most prominent thrash metal bands of the 1990s, and made his mark with drumming speeds beyond normal human limits. Then came Extreme, where he replaced Paul Guri and immediately stunned audiences with precision and energy that seemed almost machine-driven. But Mangini's true distinction wasn't about playing faster than anyone else. It was about understanding deeper than anyone else what he was doing. While many drummers relied on instinct, he approached rhythm as a system of logical thought. He didn't just play drums. He studied them, questioned them, built theories around them. This led to the creation of Rhythm Knowledge, a comprehensive learning system combining neuroscience, music theory, and psychology to help drummers truly understand rhythm from its roots, not just memorize patterns. That very philosophy earned him a teaching position at Berklee College of Music, one of the most prestigious music schools in the world. From a child who once feared the stage, Mike Mangini had become a mentor, inspiring hundreds of students not just through his superhuman technique, but through the way he had conquered himself. By the late 2000s, he had become a familiar name in the professional drumming community, not flashy, not loud, but always present in the most important places, from stages with Steve Vai and James LaBrie to studios, classrooms, and instructional books. Mike Mangini's career didn't begin with fame. It began with quiet, precise, relentless drum beats, just like the man himself. In 2010, Mike Mangini walked into a room where three men were waiting: John Petrucci, John Myung, and Jordan Rudess. In front of him stood a massive drum kit, dozens of microphones, and a challenge most drummers around the world only dared to watch on screen, auditioning to replace Mike Portnoy, the founding drummer of Dream Theater, one of the most technically advanced bands on the planet. No one expected Mangini to be the perfect fit, and that's exactly why he was. In the recorded audition video, Mangini sat behind the drum kit without glancing at sheet music, without warming up. He played Dream Theater songs with a level of precision that made it seem as if they were written for him. The expressions of Petrucci and Myung gradually shifted from skeptical to stunned. Mangini didn't just play the parts correctly, he played them in a way even Portnoy would nod in approval. It was a defining moment. The same man who once fled from performing at age 6 had become the new heartbeat of Dream Theater. His first album with the band, A Dramatic Turn of Events, 2011, was no easy beginning. It came during a time when the band was under intense scrutiny. Can Dream Theater still be Dream Theater without Portnoy? But the surprise was, the album was warmly received. Not just for its compositions, but for Mangini's drumming, which brought a new energy, clean, agile, less improvisational than Portnoy, but equally intense in a different way. Then came a series of milestone albums, Dream Theater 2013, marking stability with a new lineup. The astonishing 2016, an ambitious rock opera where Mangini navigated dozens of tempo changes and complex time signatures in each track. Distance Over Time, 2019, a return to its album emphasizing technicality and prog metal structure, and A View from the Top of the World, 2021, where his contribution to the Alien helped Dream Theater win their first ever Grammy Award after nearly 40 years in the industry. On stage, Mangini was not the flashy type. He rarely stood up, showed little dramatic flair, but watch his hands move like bolts of lightning striking air and time at once, and you'll understand why Dream Theater fans called him the percussion wizard. Mangini didn't just play accurately, he played with awareness, with science, using internal systems he built in his own mind to surpass both fear and physical limits. Offstage, he never stopped teaching. His rhythm knowledge lessons, where he fused rhythm with logical thinking, neuroscience, and even meditation, became essential resources in the global drumming community. Many young drummers didn't just learn how to play like Mangini, they learned how to think like him. And if we look at accolades alone, Mike Mangini once held multiple world records for speed: 1,203 single-stroke hand hits in 60 seconds, match grip, 13,222 foot strokes in 15 minutes, and numerous fastest drummer titles from 2002 to 2006. Yet what set him apart was his attitude toward those very records. In one interview, he bluntly stated, "Speed doesn't make you an artist. It just makes you a machine, unless you know how to use that speed to tell a story." Mike Mangini didn't come to Dream Theater to replace anyone. He came to prove that success doesn't have to be loud, that you can arrive later than others, move slower, speak less, and still leave a mark that can't be erased. And that's exactly what Mangini did, not through fame, but through a precision that chills the spine. If on stage Mike Mangini is a rhythm machine, precise to the thousandth of a second, then in his personal life he is a man of simplicity, quietness, and deep privacy. No parties, no scandals, no social media noise. In an industry where artists are often expected to perform even offstage, Mangini chooses to retreat from the spotlight when there's no longer a reason to be in it. He was once married, has children, and in his rare interviews he has shared that family has always been his greatest anchor during transitional periods, especially when he left Berklee to fully commit to Dream Theater, or when he faced the immense pressure of replacing a legend like Mike Portnoy. Though he has never disclosed much about his wife or children, those close to him know this. After every hours-long concert, he always called home, not to boast about his performance, but simply to say, "Dad's okay." One lesser-known yet deeply significant aspect of Mangini's personal life is his long battle with social anxiety and stage fright, which haunted him from childhood well into adulthood. He once described how he had to learn to control his brain the way he controlled his drumsticks, breaking thoughts into segments, mapping his breathing, and mentally reprogramming his emotional reflexes, all so he could stand before thousands of people without falling apart. These profound psychological experiences shaped rhythm knowledge not only as a drumming system, but also as a life philosophy. He once said, "I created this system not just to play drums, but to teach myself how not to panic, how to look at chaos and find rhythm within it." Outside of music and family, Mangini has a deep love for nature and stillness. He enjoys walking alone, observing trees, and often draws inspiration from repetitive natural movements, like ocean waves, rainfall, or the rotation of a fan, to construct new rhythmic patterns. That's also why, despite having played on some of the world's largest stages, he continues to live in a quiet suburban area rather than in a bustling music city. Few people know that Mangini turned down several attractive collaboration offers after leaving Dream Theater. His reason was simple: "I need time to return to myself." In a world where artists are swept into the relentless cycle of markets and expectations, Mike Mangini stands as a rare example of someone who puts mental health and inner peace above fame. He never tried to craft a mysterious persona. He simply never needed to say much. Mike Mangini's personal life, when all is said and done, mirrors his drumming style: steady, intricate, composed, and never more than what's truly necessary. Not every artist leaves behind a legacy, even after reaching the peak of their career. But Mike Mangini is different. He never needed to be the most famous, only the most precise, the most dedicated, and the hardest to replace. In a music industry where technicality is often dismissed as cold or emotionless, Mangini proved the opposite: that technique, when paired with deep understanding, can reach profoundly human emotional depths. Mangini's greatest legacy is in the world records, though he held many, from the fastest hand strokes in 1 minute to the most consecutive pedal hits in 15 minutes. Nor is it solely the classic albums with Dream Theater or Extreme. His true legacy lies in a rare dimension of drumming: the fusion of music and intellect. Rhythm knowledge, the educational system Mangini developed, isn't just a method for learning drums. It's a comprehensive framework that blends neuroscience, psychology, mathematics, and sound. In it, he deconstructs complex concepts like polyrhythms, syncopation, and odd-time signatures into clear visual modules, helping thousands of students around the world understand rhythms that were once only felt but never fully explained. Because of this, Mike Mangini is not just a drummer, he's a translator of rhythm into human language. Young drummers like Anup Sastry, Matt Gaskar, Animals as Leaders, and Bard Kolstad, Leprous, have all acknowledged being directly influenced not just by Mangini's playing but by his way of thinking. Even within Dream Theater, a band where every member is considered a master, Mangini's presence defined a distinct era marked by discipline, stability, and scientific precision. While Mike Portnoy leaned into instinct and emotion, Mangini brought balance, structure, and exactitude. That contrast created an entirely new chapter for the band, even if not everyone noticed immediately. Beyond his technical influence, Mangini also left a deep mark through his personal philosophy. In numerous interviews, he has emphasized humility, perseverance, and gratitude, even during painful moments. When he left Dream Theater in 2023, there was no bitterness or public criticism, despite his admission that he was not informed in advance. That calm dignity led many fans to call him a man of honor, an artist who never let personal emotion taint his respect for the music. Today, though he may no longer be in the spotlight, Mike Mangini remains a symbol, not for noise, but for never striking an unnecessary note. In a world filled with meaningless drum beats, he chose to play less, but every hit had intention, weight, and lasting impact. Mike Mangini's legacy isn't found on stage. It lives in the way thousands of students have emerged from the shadow of anxiety, picked up a pair of sticks, and believe that music can heal if you know how to listen to the rhythm. When Mike Mangini left Dream Theater at the end of 2023, no one knew exactly where he would go, what he would do, or even if he would continue drumming at all. The man had dedicated over a decade to one of the most complex bands in the world, playing a crucial role during the era in which they earned their first Grammy, only to be replaced without any prior notice. But instead of reacting with bitterness or backlash, Mangini chose silence. Then he stepped into a new chapter, unexpected, independent, and more determined than ever. On November 11th, 2023, Mike Mangini officially released his debut solo album Invisible Signs. No longer behind John Petrucci or James LaBrie. This time he stood at the center, not just as a drummer, but as a producer, composer, and conceptual architect. The album wasn't a showcase of technique. It was a declaration of an artist who had matured, broken free, and was no longer bound by the identity of his former band. The songs on Invisible Signs delve into emotional depth and introspective perspective, featuring esteemed collaborators like Jen Margera, formerly of Evanescence, Gus G., Ozzy Osbourne, Firewind, Tony Dickinson, and Ivan Keller. It was a bold statement. Mangini didn't need Dream Theater to create greatness. And he didn't stop there. In early 2025, Mangini announced the formation of a new band called Monolith, a progressive metal project with a modern edge and distinct identity. In the debut single Oligarchs, Mangini not only played drums but served as a creative heart of the entire piece. With lead vocals by Hernan Lay Rodriguez and guitar work by Andy Barrow, Monolith delivered a powerful contemporary sound, still rooted in the complexity of prog, like a map Mangini had drawn long ago but was never allowed to bring to life. Alongside songwriting, he continued to pursue his second great passion, teaching. Mangini's masterclasses, held in cities ranging from Milan, Rome, and Dubai to Atlanta, drew hundreds of students per session. He didn't just teach drumming. He taught how to breathe through panic attacks, how to mentally program your mind to play odd-time signatures, and how to train more efficiently, cutting practice time in half while doubling effectiveness. For him, every class was a chance to help others walk a path he had once traveled slowly and alone. When asked about his departure from Dream Theater, Mangini responded with clarity and composure. "I understand and respect that decision. I have my own things to accomplish, and now is the right time to do them." No anger. No regret. Just a 62-year-old man stepping out from a long shadow, carrying knowledge and passion to keep playing, teaching, creating, and living true to himself. In a world where many drummers rely on a band to remain relevant, Mike Mangini is proving the opposite. He no longer needs to stand behind anyone. He is himself. And as he once declared, "If there's still a sound inside me that hasn't been released, I won't stop." And now, as those sounds begin to echo under his own name, people are beginning to realize maybe Mike Mangini never truly left. He's only just begun. Mike Mangini was never someone who fought for the spotlight. He never needed sensational stories, media scandals, or flashy stage antics to prove his worth. Throughout his career, he chose a different path, quiet, disciplined, unwavering, and intellectually free. A drummer who could set world records, teach at Berkeley, and stand alongside the greatest musical minds in Dream Theater, yet still carry the humility of a teacher standing at the front of a classroom. He is one of the rare artists who seamlessly merges skill with intellect, a man who uses drum rhythms to talk about the brain, uses technique to inspire, and uses music to heal personal wounds. In a world where everyone is racing to be seen, Mangini chose to go deeper. And because of that, he has never been swept away by time. Mike Mangini's journey is living proof that success doesn't have to be loud. You can play at 1,200 strokes per minute, but the more important question is, why are you playing? For Mangini, every hit carries meaning. It's a declaration from someone who overcame fear, broke through expectations, and moved beyond past glory to redraw his own map. And now, having passed the age of 60, with no ties to any band or institution, Mike Mangini is finally fully himself. A limitless artist with nothing left to prove. Have you ever heard a drum feel powerful enough to change the way you think? With Mike Mangini, that's not just possible, it's still happening. Leave a comment if you've ever been blown away by one of his fills, learned something from rhythm knowledge, or simply felt the unique presence he brings to modern music. And if you love quiet yet powerful journeys like this one, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell, because there are many more stories like Mike Mangini's waiting to be told.